back again. Welcome, everyone. It's Thursday, April 11th, 2024 at 4 p.m., and I'll welcome you to the New Ulm Public Library Board meeting. The agenda is before us. We're going to approve the agenda, and one of the things that's a little different about this agenda is that we have an important action item listed as the first agenda item. And I'll just make the president's decision that as long as we're acting, we'll continue on with all the action items. We'll do all of the action items, and then we'll go back to the usual agenda. So with that in mind, I'd appreciate a motion to approve the agenda as I have, changed it. All right. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We've got an adjusted agenda. And the very first action item has to do with the awarding the bid for security camera installation. And I'm happy to say that we have Brandon Wartz here to talk about this. So before I read the resolution, everyone has the resolution and then a number of sort of what I'd call technical items about the two bids. So why don't we let Brandon talk first, okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
So April had contacted me about a camera project for the library, so we reached out to CTS and WW Communications for this project. Both vendors have worked with the city in the past, and they both do a great job. As you can see, the quotes are very similar, only about a $600 difference. The cameras, the two differences there is one is a Hanwha and one is an Axis. Both are quality cameras. The only other difference really would be the server itself that it's storing on. One is an 8 terabyte and one's a 24 terabyte, but both are very sufficient for your guys' needs. With CTS, that is a company that the library has used before to do a lot of the networking and cabling. So in regards to which way I would recommend you guys go would be with CTS, just because I believe they'll be able to use a lot less wire molding on the face of the walls to keep the library looking as clean as possible.
Mm-hmm. So you've got a recommendation, and I really appreciate that, but I know that several of our board members have some questions about,
So the difference between the first one, WW and CTS, looks like one of them has more of a solid quote for the estimate for installing the cabling and the conduit. And CTS indicates that their cabling labor is an estimate only and will be billed based on actual hours worked. So that's kind of a unknown. I don't know how well they...
So they did, CTS does all the cabling in-house. So they had 3 gentlemen come who are part of the cabling team. So it should be a pretty solid estimate. And then on the WW communication sides, they work hand in hand with an electrician. So he came on site, and that's where the guaranteed electric conduit labor came in.
Yeah, they had that guarantees, which is, to me, that means not to exceed and won't exceed this price.
Yes.
Whereas with the CTS, there's still a little bit of uncertainty as to, whether it would take the time they estimated and if it's more, then they're going to bill based on the actual hours, and that could go over.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And as far as going over, the biggest challenge they're going to have is going to be on the exterior facing cameras, getting through the concrete pillars to the outside.
Right. And that was the other question they had mentioned at the bottom in boldface even. They said, due to the complexity of the building, it may be necessary to have an engineer review the planned cable paths before drilling to ensure there is no structural compromise and no engineering costs were included in the proposal to do that. So what's your feel on whether we would need to do that or not?
I don't anticipate that happening. The cabling on the outside walls, there is already network jacks there that they've ran in the past. So unless there is some unforeseen instances, I don't anticipate that happening.
Okay. So there's still two slight uncertainties with the CTS quote.
Yes.
Okay. And then the WW also mentioned they got free lifetime software upgrades.
Mhm.
Does CTS also, I didn't see any mention of that in there. They did say that they would install the latest version of the firmware, but they didn't indicate anything as to the continued software upgrades.
Yes, they both have the lifetime licensing.
Okay. And then WW mentioned, CTS mentioned a battery backup for the server. Do you know if the WW also had that? There wasn't mention of that in the
So
quote.
there is a battery backup currently at the library. The CTS quote has that initially just because the day they came, we weren't able to get into the network room. So that is actually a line item that might be able to come off their quote.
Okay.
And we can utilize the existing.
So if that item would come off their quote, if they felt that the one we currently have, the battery backup system is sufficient, then would that reduce the price?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. That would be the Trip Light by Eaton UPS Smart LCD in the amount of $402.
Okay. That's all I have.
Well, I had sort of I think is a follow-up question, which is, CPS mentions the uncertainty of perhaps having to have an engineer come in. Would that same uncertainty exist if we awarded it to the other WWP? Because if there's something unforeseen, then there's going to be a change order.
Yes,
And-
absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
If it was something unforeseen, both of them would just have a change.
Right, right. And CPS mentioned it specifically, but WW didn't.
Right.
So, any other questions?
Yes. How long is the data stored on the server and who has access to it?
It's an on-prem server, so whoever has access to it, it would likely probably only be April or whoever she chooses on her staff. Regarding how long, initially, it can probably hold 90 days worth of storage. Now, whether the policy that the library creates wants to keep all 90 days will be up to them. Usually standard retention is around 30 days.
So there needs to be some kind of a policy you mentioned associated with this process. Is that relevant to any privacy issues that may be arise of the storage of people in and around the library, whether they're inside or outside, and that would dictate who has access to it to just, unless there's an incident.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of libraries, I've started looking at policies that are existing for libraries, and a lot of them have specific instructions in their policies of who is authorized to review footage, how long they store the footage, which kind of areas of the library are being recorded, and the focus on protecting patron privacy as much as possible. So when Brandon did the walkthrough with the vendors, he walked through with each vendor to show them the camera angles that we wanted, because we didn't want to record any staff areas, and we also did not want to record like computer screens and things like that as much as possible in the public areas.
And you can get very granular with the system. If you want your exterior cameras, say, facing the parking lot for 30 days and only your interior for 10, you can certainly do things like that.
So then when that retention period is up, then does it just start over recording the earliest stuff?
Yep, absolutely.
And then I did notice too the different number of cameras between the two vendors. Are they both providing the same coverage then, or?
They both provide the same coverage. The difference there is in some cases, It's just vendor recommendation where CTS would use a quad sensor. So it's one camera, but it has 4 lenses.
Okay.
So
So it's
that's
based
how-
on the different style of cameras that they're selecting.
Correct.
Okay.
More
Is it-
questions? This is, really a complex thing. We've been thinking about it for a while. So anyone else had any comments or
Just-
questions?
One last question,
Sure.
Madam Chair, and that is the system at all susceptible to someone being able to get into?
The same risks as any system. It's all on-prem, it's all behind a secured firewall. So standard risk as a normal PC.
Else questions or comments?
April, do you have anything that you would like to offer or pros and cons that you see?
I'm in agreement with Brandon. We've had CTS on site before, and they've done a great job for us. And it's very appealing for them to be able to hide the wiring a little bit more. They also are very familiar with the tracks of the cables in the library, and that can be kind of a maze to figure out. I know when we've had new vendors on site for those things, that's kind of been the biggest challenge for them. And so CTS would have a lot of that knowledge, which would help shorten the project and I think make it look a lot nicer at the end project. Not that WW couldn't do that also, but it might be a more challenging process for them.
Maybe less disruption to library patrons and staff as far as length of project or amount of noise.
And at this point, we're not planning to close the library. I mean, that could change if they had something that would be dangerous for us to have patrons in. Probably at the most, we maybe would close areas that they're working in for safety reasons. But, we've done kind of noisy projects in the past and kept open so patrons can still use the library.
April, do you anticipate us having passed on a policy prior to the system being activated?
I would like to bring a first draft of the policy to the board next month for review, which would put final review in June. I'm not sure the exact timeline of when either of these vendors could fit us into their work schedule at this point.
Anything more? I'm about to read the resolution, and the way it reads, it's, say we award the bid to one of the two vendors, and then I read out the cost. So I guess I need to have a sense of what we're thinking here. We've got,
I'll make a motion to accept the bid of CCT,
all right.
CTS.
CTS as
Good.
provided to the
Good.
board.
And do you have a second
I'll
on that?
second.
No, I have a second. All right. Well, then I'll read the resolution as in that way, unless they're, okay? Now, this is resolution number 202410, awarding the bid for security camera installation. The library requested quotes for installing security cameras throughout the library's public spaces, including the main library, children's room, and meeting room. Cameras would also be placed along the outside of the library to capture the library's entrances and parking lot. The City Information Technology Director walked through the scope of the project with each of the two vendors. The library received the two attached quotes for the project. One, Computer Technology Solutions for $37,791.75. And two, WW Communications for $37,154. Because this is an unbudgeted project, the library director recommends using the library's reserve fund to fund the projects. The finance director and city manager expressed no concern about using the library's reserve funds to fund the project. The city manager encouraged the library director to prioritize the security project. And so I will read this as the action to award the project to Computer Technology Solutions in the amount of $37,791.71.
75 cents.
75 cents.
Darn it, I was so close. I was so close. And so can we read the roll?
Dustin, yes. Vince,
Yes.
Ruth Ann,
Yes.
Yvonne,
Yes.
Manon,
Yes.
Lynn, Carl.
All right, thank you. Passed. The resolution has passed.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Brandon.
Brandon. Thank you for your help. And now, well, like I said, we'll keep moving on the action items. So the next action item has to do with the updated lost and found policy. So do you want to talk about that a little bit first, or?
This is the second reading.
Oh, this is the second reading. I
We read it at
apologize.
the last,
Sorry.
Last meeting.
All right, thank you. I wasn't
So
here.
I-
I missed it.
That's true.
You were the
did,
beep.
but I took care of it.
Oh, you took
So-
care of it.
But we can waive the.
Waive the reading.
Waive the reading.
All right.
And I haven't made any changes to
Okay.
it since the last meeting, except the last two paragraphs were one paragraph before, and so I
Okay.
made them two as requested by
So-
it was
Right.
Vince.
With that said, I will take a motion to accept the resolution and waive the second reading.
So moved.
Second.
And so that's, I will then have call the roll, please.
Dustin, yes. Vince,
Yes.
Ruth Ann,
Yes.
Yvonne,
Yes.
Manon,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Carl.
Yes.
All right. Now we go on to, come on. Resolution accepting the donations. Come on. It doesn't want to open up for me. Have you got it opened up?
Yep.
All right. All right. Thank you. Okay. And this is resolution number 2024-08, accepting donations and memorials between January 1st, March 31st of 2024. We have donor Patricia Jersa, and her book club friends in memory of Jerry Kokesh, $143 for adult books. And then we've got another from Teresa Westrip in honor of Jerry Kokesh, $20. And there's an anonymous gift in honor of Jerry Kokesh for $40. And then there's a memorial from Dan and Trudy Bernick in memory of Dan Riley, $25. And then Friends of the New Ulm Library donated $100 cash twice. Well, no, $100 cash for winter adult reading program, $100 cash for National Library Workers' Day refreshments, and then $600 cash for children's programs for the summer reading program prizes. Then we've got something from Betty and Doug Roiger in honor of George Clackham, $100 cash for adult books. Also from Betty and Doug Roiger in honor of Jack Todd, $100 cash for adult books. Then we've got anonymous gifts in the donation box of $20 for adult books. And last but not least here, from yours truly, Ruth Ann Webster, $75 for books that I want to read. Well, I wanted, my sister's friend wrote a book about her efforts to get the women's Vietnam Veterans Memorial up. It's called Healing Wounds. And if we're going to read it in History Book Club, we've got to have plenty of books. So now we've got plenty of books. Anyway, so I bought 2 nonfiction books and an audio book. So there you go. History Book Club. You got to love it. So do I have a motion to accept all these donations?
So move.
And a second? We got second. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Let's see if I can get the next one
Dustin,
up.
yes. Vince,
Yes.
Ruth Ann,
Yes.
Yvonne,
Yes.
Manon,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
and Carl.
All right. Vince, I can't, I don't know what I've got. So let me, yep, I can switch. Here we go. Now, stuff is coming in, now stuff is going out. This is resolution 2024-09, approving the recommendation to dispose of surplus library items. The library board budgeted to purchase 100 chairs and 4 tables during 2024 to furnish replacement of the library's meeting room furniture. The library currently has a surplus of 108 old chairs. These old chairs are uncomfortable, no kidding, and the library does not anticipate a future use for them. Photos attached. The chairs will be made available first to other city departments. The library director recommends selling the remaining chairs for $1 each. They would be available for sale on a first-come, first-served basis during regular library hours, and revenue from the sales would go to Fund 211-5500-36200, which is miscellaneous. Do I have a motion to,
I'll make
all
that
right,
motion.
good. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right.
I'd like to mention that as we're trying to sell these for $1 each, maybe not say that they're really uncomfortable.
Okay.
Unless you're selling them to like
Okay,
people
right.
who.
Oh, they're wonderful.
Yeah,
People,
exactly.
listen.
They're space age,
Yes.
made with
Yeah.
space age plastic.
Right. I've
We
completely
did
crapped
sell,
this up.
when we bought the first 50 chairs, we surplus 50 chairs at that time.
All right.
And we sold those for $1, and then I saw them a few days later on Facebook for half
Oh,
But they were out of the building.
The
so-
They were
library
out
gets
of the
rid of them.
building, so who cares?
Exactly.
I've
Now
completely
you're just
screwed
giving
this up,
somebody
Vince.
an idea.
All right. Dustin, yes. Vince,
Yes.
Ruth Ann,
Yes,
Yvonne,
Yes.
Manon,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Carl.
Yes.
all right. Now, the next resolution. And so if you're looking at home, I have screwed up my computer, and I'm just hovering over Vince's. All right, here we go. Resolution number 2024-11, approving laptop computer use policy and user agreement. This is the first reading. So I'll just read it, and we'll adopt it next time. In June 2023, the library was selected as a participant in the Public Library Association's Digital Library Workshop Incentive. The library received a $6,000 grant powered by AT&T. Funds were used to purchase laptops, software, and accessories to support a series of computer classes. Classes were designed to help persons build skills and confidence using technology. 44 people attended 8 classes from December 2023 to February 2024. The laptops purchased with the grants will be made available for checkout for in-library use. The library director recommends that the library board adopt the attached laptop computer use policy and user agreement to govern use of the laptops. And the city attorney has approved that policy. And are there any questions or comments about that policy? Did you want me to read the policy itself, or?
No, we're gonna waive that one.
Yeah, okay.
It's multiple pages.
It's yes, I know, the city attorney approved it.
This will give us an opportunity to read it for next month's meeting, so.
Correct, yeah, correct.
And our internal procedure for this would be similar to what we do for the agreements we ask patrons to sign when they check out a Library of Things item or a Wi-Fi hotspot, where they sign the agreement once and we note their account. That way they don't have to do that each time they use a laptop for those other
Okay.
items.
Okay, one more. Is this-
No,
no,
I
two
think we're
more.
done with. I think
Oh,
we're
I'm done with the
that.
resolutions, done with the action items?
Now we go back to
Now, if I can find it.
we'll approve the minutes.
All right,
So
all right. I apologize.
that's the minutes.
All right,
so
those are, there
basically
we go. Now, we're going back to the non-action items, and the next, what we have to do is approve the minutes of last month's meeting. So, everybody's got those on their packet. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Now, the finances. Let's do the finance report.
Right, so we are 24.86% through 2024, and our budget is approximately 20.84% expended. bills that we paid during March included $60 to Booth Welding and Fabricating for a latch fix on the doors nearest the book drop, $520 for a storage cabinet for flammable items stored in the library's garage, $673 to Full Service Electric to replace a service disconnect on an HVAC unit, $423 to Hilliard for paper products, $2,207 to SHI International for scheduled computer replacements for our Programming and Technology Services librarian and the self-checkout station, and $51 to the Springfield Library for a collaborative summer library program manual and supplies. That was an expense we shared with the other Brown County libraries.
Good. Anyone else have anything they want to pull out or make note of?
I have a question. I'm pretty good at noticing patterns, and over the past few months, there's been a bunch of HVAC repairs. Is this considered normal maintenance, or are we getting nickel and dimed here until, we decide that we need to do a major upgrade to the HVAC system?
These are all related to the same question on one of the new units. So this service disconnect, we kept noticing the issue, and they were coming out to try and figure it out. So we've had, I think, the electrician come, we've had God come, because we weren't quite sure where the issue was. So this should be the final fix on that. If it's not, we'll talk to the city building official to figure out a better solution.
Okay.
That was something that was not, the service disconnect was something that was not quoted to be replaced when those units were replaced.
Oh, okay.
And so this is,
So they wouldn't be covered under warranty then or anything like that, or, okay.
it was something that was not covered in the initial work.
And did the city recommend that we didn't need to replace the service disconnect?
That I'm not sure of.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Vince. That's that. Let's go to the librarian's report about the March department activities. And
Ruth Ann, can I make one more note on the financial
I
report?
apologize.
I just wanted to let you know that the Mellon Foundation grants were received on April 4th. I've been working with the finance director. She's looking for a solution for us so that recording those expenses is a little bit easier for the board to read versus me saying that this line looks overspent, but it's not because of grant funding. So we're just kind of trying to find the best solution for that makes sense
thank
with
you.
our accounting standards.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. See, we do get to talk about that big pile of money. We'll just talk about it every month. Continued joy. Thank you, April. Activities reports?
Our Programming and Technology Services librarian led training for our circulation staff on the Libby website and app on March 8th. That training was triggered by the job description updates we did at the beginning of the year. So we're making sure our staff know how to use the resources they're being asked to answer questions about. Libby is our platform for ebooks and e-audiobooks, and so they learned about navigation, searching, downloading to devices, and basic troubleshooting. And a lot of our staff members use Libby pretty regularly, so they were probably most interested in the troubleshooting pieces that they learned. Our chess club has had high attendance in the double digits for the past 6 weeks, so we have ordered more chess sets so that everybody can participate.
Great.
So that's fun.
Yay.
Our Programming and Technology Services librarian attended the city's monthly emergency management meeting. Planning for the annual emergency preparedness fair has begun, and that's in partnership with community organizations like the police department, the fire department, the Red Cross, and that will be, again, part of the National Night Out in July.
Okay.
Our Mellon Foundation Public Knowledge Grant for supporting the memory labs was approved in early March, as you know. That grant period begins in April. Our Programming and Technology Services librarian has already started work. He met with the Brown County Historical Society staff to begin talking about how we can collaborate for the projects that were specified in that grant. And then
Great.
our Youth Services librarian and library aide are working hard to prepare for our summer reading program. The Youth Services librarian will attend the May board meeting to present a preview of the program as she has in past years.
And the Friends of the Library have provided the money to buy the prizes.
Yes, yes.
Right. It all
So a
fits
portion of
together.
that $600 will go towards the prize books that we purchased to give away at the end of the program. And then the other half will go towards incentives for the kids that they can earn throughout the program
Okay.
for
Yeah.
continuing to visit and track.
Great, great.
And then I just want to note that we were looking at our pajama party story time and trying to figure out if that was a program that we needed to revamp or discontinue or change a time for, because we just weren't getting any attendance. And in the last month or two, we've seen that attendance jump. So I'm really glad to see that. You know, we're getting more like 12 or 16 kids when before we had maybe a family of 2 or 3 coming. So I'm not sure if they just started to, the right people started to hear about it or how that happened, but we're excited to see it because we really don't like to give up on a program. Our sensory playtimes are also a hit. Our youth services librarian is looking at how to make them more effective, because with the high attendance, that kind of gets hard for those kids who have sensory needs. So we're trying to figure out the best way to accommodate those kids while including everyone who would like to participate.
Okay.
And then at the last meeting, Carl asked about our statistics for our door count compared to years before the pandemic, because he asked why the sharp increase from 2021 to 2024 in our door count, and I suspected that it was due to increased use again after the pandemic that we're building back. And on the chart that was in the packet, I think that bears out for most of the months here, where you can see that dip in 2020 and then a gradual increase again. One thing I will note is that in a lot of instances, we're still not back to the visits we had before the pandemic. So we're still finding ways to bring those patrons back into the library. A lot of people have changed how they access information and materials because they had to during that time.
And Libby.
Yes, and we put our film on the door so the door count in June is not messed up by the sun. So we're hoping that keeps that under control this year, so it's accurate for us.
Okay.
I'd like to mention that, I don't know if this is an official library activity, but it's a service provided with the free tax service that they're doing. And I was in the library last week around lunchtime to check out a book, and I had difficulty finding a place to park. But when I went into the library, it was like, there's nobody here, so what's going on? And I asked Leroy and April, and they said, yeah, tax season, and Tuesday and Thursdays they offered that. And so everybody's coming in now that April had rolled around, you know, people are coming in to get their taxes done.
I wanted to drop a book off today, and I finally decided I'd just book. I couldn't find a place to park to get
Yeah,
out.
so that shows that the success of that program, helping out the people who would need tax services, so.
Yeah, and that's organized by the Brown County United Way, and I think they use a Vita tax program, but all of the people who are preparing taxes are volunteers.
Right.
So they spend an enormous, give generously of their time
Yeah.
during.
And we
February
provide
through
the room for them
Yes.
to do that, so that's nice. So it seems to be working good.
And it's almost over.
Yes.
Yeah, should be soon, yeah.
I've had people who have used that service and they were very grateful. So thank you to the United for that service.
Yes, they have some property tax appointments next week, and then they'll be
Oh.
finished for the year.
All right. It ain't over till it's over, right? All right. Okay. Anything else? Otherwise, we'll, programming for April. Oh, what, don't you just hate that?
So we'll have Birds in Their Nests with the DNR naturalist Kelsey Moe on Friday, April 19th at 1 p.m. That includes a craft so that we have a good handle on how many supplies we need. Please register for that. You can do that at our website, newulmlibrary.org. And then the Mankato Symphony Orchestra will present Fairy Tales and Fantasies on Saturday, April 20th at 10:30 a.m. as part of their Free Family series. So that's open to everyone. Minnesota author K.W. Jeppesen will present his new book, Sweet, Lovely, Attentive, on Saturday, April 20th at 2 p.m. The book explores themes of family, identity, and culture through the college romance of two gay men. And if you are interested in that book, we do have a copy that's available for checkout. And then the Testify virtual conversation is Tuesday, April 30th at 7 p.m. You'll remember that we had a poster exhibit about the Testify exhibit that was, I believe, at the Minneapolis Central Library last year. So it's gonna be Justice Alan Page and his daughter in conversation about the exhibit and their experiences collecting the art that was, and items that were included. So you can visit our website again, newulmlibrary.org, to register for the virtual event. And there's also a link to view the photographs of the collection itself.
Good.
And that is made possible through the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
Good, thank you. Any questions, comments, anything anybody want to, lift up?
I'm just really impressed with the chess club, and their growth from, because I, like a lot of people, were not sure how that would really go over. Seems to be wonderful.
It's taken time. It's taken time to grow.
We have a lot of young patrons who have learned how to play chess and now are playing together through that
Okay.
program.
Wonderful.
Great, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Anything else? Otherwise, we're down to other business. Other business. Is there any other business to come before this board? If not, meeting adjourned. Boom. Thanks, everybody. Thank you. I don't know what I pressed.